definitely kept the best for last, because now everybody's going to see in real life the future of coordination, and that's what we're all about, BIM coordination. And for this session, I'd like to introduce Rhys Lewis and Lewis Guy from Revisto. Rhys and Lewis, you're very welcome. Are you guys there and unmuted?
Yep.
And ready to present?
Okay. Can you hear us okay?
Can hear you fine.
That's what we like to hear. Well, yeah. Let us know when the stage is ours and we'll make a start.
It's all yours, good to go.
Excellent. Well, firstly, congratulations on a fantastic event. We've been listening all day in the background, so some really interesting talks, and well done to everybody, including yourself, Ralph, and the team at ArcDocs. Revisto are extremely proud to be headline sponsor for the inaugural event, and looking forward to future events in the future, maybe in person, but let's see. I know you've had a lot of people register for this. So, I mean, we're really excited to show you all today what we've been doing in the background, and all of that really has been based on what industry has been asking for. So, firstly, my name's Rhys Lewis. I'm one of the directors here at Revisto. I've been in industry for a little while now, but yeah, thoroughly enjoying my role here at Revisto, and I'm joined by my colleague Lewis Guy. So, say hello, Lewis.
Hello, Lewis. Yeah, so my name is Lewis, and I'm in the technical team at Revisto. So I come from industry. I've done my time as a BIM coordinator, BIM manager on projects, and now I'm putting my experience into Revisto and helping other people sort of get the most out of it. So
what we'd like, I mean, some of you may have seen our global release, but if you haven't, we'd love you to share what you see today. So feel free to take screenshots and share these on social media using the BIM Coordinator Summit hashtag, or our own, which will be Clash Automation. You can copy us into tweets or LinkedIn as well if you'd like. So perfect. If we flick to the next slide, please, Lewis. Perfect. So I really wanted just to let people know that for some of you that have not seen Revisto, we've actually been around for quite some time. That the whole idea was around bringing gaming technology into the AECO world. So you can see there across the timeline what we've been doing and what we've delivered to industry. Innovation is at the heart of what we do, and listening to our clients is what we're all about. So starting bringing that gaming technology through, we moved on to a cloud-based tracking system, integrating 2D and 3D information into one single environment. Interoperability is something we're all passionate about here. It really is down to our clients what they want to use in terms of authoring tools. Revisto supports a wide array of file formats. The last 2 years now, we've really been laying down the foundation to bring Revisto plus our Clash automation tool to the market, which is what you'll see today. If we just flick across and leave us to the next one. And the big challenge we hear from our clients is just the multiple platforms that they need to train their users on. Actually listening to taking some points there from the last session, we see 3D viewing platforms, 2D review platforms, a communication platform, a tracking platform, a clash detection platform that are required by project teams to do their coordination successfully. Revisto is an integrated collaboration platform that will allow you to do everything I've just mentioned in a single tool that's lightweight and user-friendly, so we can engage with the entire project team. So as an integrated collaboration platform, we can do everything I've just mentioned in one place. So without any further ado, we don't have too much time, Lewis, so if you just flick the next slide, we can show our audience Revisto Plus. So over to you, Lewis.
Yeah, perfect. And I think what we're about to show you is kind of been 9 months in the making, lots of development time with our technical team, our industry partners as well, sort of helping out to shape this in a way that's really going to change the way in which coordination is sort of carried out on projects and things like that. And again, it was kind of mentioned in the previous session regarding training, and not every company is lucky enough to have sort of these skilled experts working on all their projects all the time. And what we're trying to do at Revisto is trying to make the tools as easy as possible to use. Again, using as many different of the authoring tools as possible, so there's not just one way of doing this. But making the tool just so easy to use that anybody can do this whether or not you are a professional sort of BIM coordinator, or you might be a design manager, or you might just be like an engineer working on a project. Revisto Plus and the Clash Automation is all about making everyone kind of an expert if they need to be able to assist with the coordination process and saving time. So we're going to jump straight in. We're going to focus on the Clash Automation tool. Our Clash Automation tool has been built entirely around kind of the generation of cert sets so that you can be as specific or as generic as you want with the data that you're clashing. So I've got some cert sets set up on here for models. So we've got like architectural floors, architectural walls, cable trays, ducts, whatever it is, but we've also got the whole model level. So I can clash all the architectural models with other things as well. So we'll jump into our Clash Automation tool. And Revisto, as Rhys mentioned, is a collaboration tool, which means that multiple people can work in the space at the same time. And that's now true for our Clash Automation tool as well. So you can actually have many different people running their own clash detection all within one platform. They can be sharing those results with different people. They can be using the switchback functionality that Revisto has back to the authoring tools as well. So immediately I can see that Rhys is now actually in there reviewing the structural floors versus mechanical pipes clash test. So it's just opened this up to have more people doing the job at the same time, but because it's so easy to do, it doesn't take any time for them to learn this or to really get to grips with carrying out Clash Automation. So we're going to jump straight in. We're going to create some new clash tests. We mentioned it's all cert set based, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do my structural model versus my MEP model, a fairly standard clash test. I could use my categories and I could be really specific with the kind of clash test that I'm creating. But with the tools that we've generated, it basically means that we can be very generic in our clash tests and really specific with the way in which we group the results and share it with the wider team. So I'm just going to create this one here and I'm going to say done. I can import settings from previous clash tests. Again, because it is collaborative, you can actually share and pull information in from previous ones, but I'm going to carry on without. Now I'm going to specify my type of clash. So we've got a standard hard clash. We've got a clearance, so we can automatically add zones around objects to ensure that there's maintenance room or just allowing for space between them. And with the clearance option, we also realize that it's really important to have a separate horizontal and vertical offset, because sometimes you only care about the vertical offset, you don't care about the horizontal one. And by having a single clearance space, it was messing up with your results and you would get some false positives that were only there because of the tolerance or the clearance that you'd specified. So this has been really useful to a lot of our customers now to be able to specify this separately for the distance. And again, we have the same with tolerances and the tolerance horizontal and vertical. I'm going to use just a hard clash for this one. We can choose elements or geometries depending on what kind of authoring tool you're using, but I'm going to skip through this one. The key thing with Revisto Clash is really about how we group our results. So with Revisto Automation, we're grouping everything as we run the clash test. We're not having to run the clash test and then we get our results and then we're going to have to run through them and start to manually group them or use grouping tools to do this. It's going to be immediate with the running of the clash test. And in here, we've got 10 different types of grouping that we can do. So we've got selection AB, which basically means that you can choose the left object or the right object to group your results by. You can group by level, you can group by grid intersection. Grid intersection has proved massively popular with our infrastructure projects where they're using chainage lines as grid references and they're able to group their results sort of immediately through that sort of method. For projects where we have room data, we can group immediately by what room the clash is in. So you can see straight away kind of the problem areas in the project and things like that. That's also true for like areas and spaces, which are kind of more Revit specific terminologies, but everything else here works with kind of all the other platforms. We have zones, and zones are kind of like custom created spaces within Revisto. So the way in which this will work is in your authoring tool, you will create an extrusion or many extrusions that you want to zone the project out by. So for example, you might have 4 or 5 buildings in the same Revisto project. You could easily create an extrusion around each building, call it building 1, building 2, building 3, etc. Export that into Revisto, convert it into a zone, and that is then you can group by what building it's in or whatever it is that your zones are going to be used by. So again, it's just really helpful for people. You might not have rooms available, but you can create zones that help you sort of break the spaces down as and when they're needed. We've got proximity and chain proximity. So proximity allows you to draw spheres around the cache, and then it will group everything together by there, so you can create nice, neat little chunks. And chain proximity does the same, but it starts joining the spheres together. And you can specify a maximum length of the chain, so it's not going to go on forever. It will be sensible about how it works. And then finally, we've got a property condition, which basically now lets you use any of the data in the model to start grouping your results by. So it doesn't matter what it is that you're looking for, you can basically find it, you can add it, and you can group by that method. So for this example, I'm going to start off just by grouping by my system abbreviation. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to choose system abbreviation, and I'm going to say, OK, that's all I'm going to do for the time being. We then say next, and then we've got some automation, because as kind of Revisto is an issue tracker, we can automatically push our results into our issue tracker, and we can follow kind of part of our stamp. So I can specify that it's going to go to the mechanical services stamp. It's going to set the priority as a major. We can automatically set a deadline here to be plus 14 days. It's going to assign it to Rhys automatically. And just so that I can find it easier, I'm going to add an additional tag to these results as well. And we can say finish. For now, this is the automation that we've got. Sort of in the next few months, we will be adding our advanced automation here, which will allow you to use rules to define where the results go. So the simple automation that we have here applies to all the results. But with the advanced automation, you'll be able to specify rules such as if the pipe diameter is less than 100 mil, we can automatically approve it. If the caches involve ductwork, we can assign that to the ductwork engineer. If it involves pipes, we can assign it to the piping engineer. You'll be able to specify that within the advanced automation so that you don't have to do it yourself. It will automatically know where to send the results. So we can click finish. Before we run this cache test, there's just a few more settings that we can run through here. So the view and screenshot settings, this allows us to change the colors of the caches. I think years of being a BIM coordinator means that I'm actually scared of the red and green caches, so I like to use much softer colors in like pink and blue. It makes me feel a lot more comfortable. We can set up how the section box is going to work, how close to the cache we are when we're reviewing it. We can set all that kind of stuff up here. We've got access rights for clash detection. Because clash detection is now collaborative, everybody inside of Revisto would be able to see this, which is a good thing because you then have that transparency. But what you can do is you can limit who can see it, you can limit who can edit it. So you might have it so that everyone on the project can actually view the results, but only certain people have that permission to make changes to the grouping or to even rerun the clash the test as it is. So you can control that within here. And another really useful feature that we have is you can actually specify a different model to the rest of the project to use to determine what level you're grouping your results by, or by what level you're reviewing the results by. So, for example, my project is set up to use the architectural model for the levels everywhere else, but my clash test is now structural versus MEP. So what I could do, I could actually choose to use the structural model here, so I get SSLs on top of stills rather than the finished floor levels as per the architectural model. So it's giving you lots of flexibility on how this works. I'm going to run the clash test now. It won't take very long. It's pretty quick. We've had one example with one project when we were testing this out where we generated 3 million results in 45 minutes. There was a bit of backlash on Twitter for us talking about that. People weren't really that bothered, but the idea was that we could actually run clash detection on that big of a result set in 45 minutes, and then immediately you can get in and start filtering your results out by what room it's in or by what level it's on. So the 3 million results in 45 minutes, first of all, that is pretty quick for any tool that's running clash detection. But the fact is that within 45 minutes, you've got those results, and then you can start doing whatever you want with that information. You can start filtering it, or you can start raising issues immediately. So the job of a coordinator is not just sitting around waiting for these tools to sort of finish running. You've now got immediate access to do it. So we could see there in a matter of seconds, we've generated 9,871 clashes, and they've automatically been put into 38 groups. So we're showing that raw data because, again, too many people get excited when they see their clash detection. They've only got 38 issues to review, but in those 38 issues, there's actually 10,000 clashes. So there is a bit of work to be done. It's not just 38 results that you've got to fix. So it's good to have that raw data there so that you can see exactly what's going on. We can now open up this clash test, and we can see that the grouping has automatically been done. So we've got all of our different systems. So I can come down here and I can pick my chilled water system. I can isolate that out, and I can immediately now see all my clashes that are to do with chilled water. I can show hot water at the same time, but it's not easy to differentiate between them. So we can switch our color system so that we can highlight. So we've got the kind of the red clashes are one system, and the purple system, or the purple color, is a different system. So you're really able to have multiple things on the screen at the same time, but review them instantly in a way that makes sense for you. I might determine that this grouping that I've done actually isn't very useful. It's a bit too basic at the moment. So I can go back into my grouping tool and I can add some more. So we're going to group by level, and we're going to group by room. So I'm just going to reorganize that. We can change the name of the group. So I can give this a name that makes it read nicely. So we're just going to say that. I'm going to say OK, and then I can just regroup my results. And again, in a matter of seconds, this has now been regrouped. So you can do this on the fly in coordination meetings. You don't have to go away and do this at a separate time. You can start playing around with this whilst you've got the team in the meeting, so that you get grouping results in a way that makes sense to the rest of the team. So now, if I just expand that out, we can now see kind of all of our level 1 informant student spaces and the systems that are clashing within there. So the grouping tool allows you a huge amount of flexibility to see the results in a way that makes sense. I'm going to just change my grouping one more time. I'm just going to get rid of the system classification, and I'm going to regroup that. So we've now got our groups working in a way that makes sense for us and for the team. And now you have your coordination meeting, and you're now in a room with a particular set of people, and you want to review those results. You've got a big long list here. There's still 1,000 groups to review, so there's still quite a lot of information to work through. So what we've done is we brought in filters to our clash tests, so that we can start to see just the ones that we're interested in. So this clash test was created using the structural model cert set versus the MEP model cert set. But I can now go into my other cert sets. So I've got some cert sets set up here for my MEP systems. And let's say I'm in a meeting with my sprinkler team. I want to review all the issues that are to do with fire protection. I can now, if I just select everything first, just so that we can see it all on the screen, I can then filter by my cert set, and I can say, just show me fire protection. And immediately that's now filtered out every result in the clash results to just show me now things to do with sprinklers. So every issue here, if I hover over this pipe, we will see that's a wet fire protection pipe. So we can easily get the results into a way that works for the team that are having the meeting. And we can then take this further. So again, I can stick with fire protection, but we might say, OK, today we're reviewing level 6 only. So I can now filter down to level 6. And immediately, we're now just viewing all the clashes to do with fire protection that exist at level 6 of the model. So you don't have to go through a huge long list, reviewing everything, trying to work out which ones are actually relevant to the team in the meeting. You can do that immediately with using these different filter systems. At this point, what I can now do is I can take these clashes. So there's not too many of them. So I'm just going to select all of them. I'm going to mark these as reviewed. And I can now push these to the issue tracker. So we can now say these need to go public, and these are going to go into the wider team, into the issue tracker. So we can just sync that. It's going to ask me, am I syncing just the 10 that I reviewed, or the 1100 that have been created? I'll stick with just the 10. So I can sync that, and that's now going to go into my issue tracker. They're going to be made public to everyone on the project, and there's now a deadline to get these issues fixed. In the meantime, I can go back into my results, and we can start playing around with this information again. So I can go in here and I can get rid of my level information. I'm going to get rid of my cert set. And I'm going to go into my object tree now. So I can just be like, OK, I want to see all the issues to do with columns. So I can just type in columns into the model. I can go by selection and I can activate it. And then automatically, again, on the screen now, we're seeing all the issues to do with columns only. So this huge amount of flexibility to allow you just to see what you're interested in without having to look through everything else, just trying to work out where those issues are. So there's lots of options with the filtering that allows you to kind of see the results that you want. And also we mentioned rooms. I can filter by room. So I can come in here and we can say, OK, today we're reviewing the informal student space. So I can come down here, I can select all of those issues. And now all the clashes that I'm looking at are to do with the informal student space. So again, I might want to come down here, and we're going to review these, and I'm going to sync that with my issue tracker. And that's now gone through, and that's now made issues out of all of this information. So once we've made those issues, they now exist in the issue tracker, which again, everybody on the project has access to. So I'm going to jump up into my issue tracker here. We can see all of these results. So this is everything. We can see how many issues are in each group. So I can view this one. I've got just a snapshot of the image here, so it's just a dumb kind of image. I can switch to my 3D space and I can start to see that in 3D. We can start to review it. We can start to take measurements. We can adjust the section box. But again, everything we do in Revisto is connected in the 2D and the 3D environment, which means I can now switch to my 2D drawing and I can see where these clashes are on that drawing. So we can see that all the clashes in this particular area are focused around this one room because they're grouped by room, so that makes sense. But I can actually see these now on a drawing exactly where they are. And again, we have a switch back functionality which allows you to just double click on the issue and then you're taken straight back to that issue location in your authoring tool, so you can get in there and you can fix it. And as Rhys is changing the status and playing around with it here, this is all live communication with the team.
I'm just going to add in there, Lewis. So again, talking about one of the points, that gamification element, I've got Revisto now on my iPad. I'm in sunny South Wales. Lewis is in Switzerland. And I've just been delivered those clashes with all of the relevant information in real time on my tablet. So all of this has been monitored and tracked. They've come through a stamp. So all of the fields on the right-hand side there, including deadline, who else needs to be copied in, is all used to report and filter against. And as Lewis mentioned, importantly, all of those clashes we can now review in 2D. So by having a 2D review tool, a 3D review tool, a clash detection tool, and a tracking tool in one place, that just allows us all to work much more efficiently and deliver more projects.
Yeah, and just very quickly, the last thing I want to show you before we wrap up is when you're grouping these issues, I'm going to manually sort of force this in, but in 2 weeks' time, you come back and you rerun your clash detection, and a lot of the issues in the groups have been fixed. Let me just add this one. What we've actually done with our grouping is introduce a third color, which allows you to see which clashes are still, or which items are still clashing versus which items are still there and still got problems. So obviously I just forced this in, but so these are still clashing. But if this was done on a real project, when you're updating the models and you're rerunning clash detection, you're going to be able to see immediately in each group how many results are still clashing versus the ones that are still kind of, or the ones that have been fixed. So visually, everything yellow on the screen has been resolved. Everything that uses the pink and blue color is still clashing. So you have this visibility over all your information immediately with whatever kind of function you want to do. You can filter, you can control that like instantly. So that's that's a 15-minute whistle-stop tour of Revisto Clash Automation.
I know I took a bit more time of yours, Lewis, than I promised I wouldn't. But if you just go back to the slide deck, so people have got our contact details, that's a very sort of quick tour of Revisto Plus. There's a lot more we can show you, but you know you've got access to this yourself. So feel free to go to our website or get in contact with any of your local reps. Thank you for giving us a platform, Ralph, to share what we've been up to in the background, and fantastic event so far.
Yeah, excellent work. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. And